Hello friends, in this video I am going to share with you wipro Scrum Master interview questions along with detailed answers. These questions are shared by one of our channel viewer from Bangalore, India. He had given an interview last week. Friends, please turn on captions for this video for better understanding. Friends, before we get into interview questions, a very quick warm welcome from myself. My name is Sunandsharrma, that's me in the center of the screen. I'm Agile consultant based in Den Haag, Netherlands, and I'm helping people from last 2 years to successfully pass their interviews. I always do that by giving you top scoring real world interview questions with detailed answers you can't find anywhere else. Friends, please make sure you subscribe by clicking the button below the video, and then you won't miss out any of the weekly videos I'm uploading. And I would also appreciate your support if you gave a video a big thumbs up in a form of a like. Your one like is a big motivation for me because that's tell me you enjoy the content and I will create more for you. Thank you very much. Okay, question number one. What will you do as a Scrum Master when team members are not updating the task and correct status of work? As the coach of a Scrum team, you might try to enlighten the development team about how keeping the sprint backlog updated is important to transparency. One technique which has served me well was to ask the development team to brainstorm possible impacts of not maintaining the transparency. In this case, I might gently lead them to the understanding that by not doing so, management may revert the traditional status update, or even worse, turn the productive daily scrum planning discussions into daily status reports. There is also the impact that the product owner does not review and provide feedback on the work as early, leading to late sprints, surprises, or the work not being accepted. Many team members consider this as an overhead which does not add value to their work. One of the major reasons which I have experienced is that there are too many data fields which are required to be updated and only few data points are actually important and relevant for reporting the health or status of the overall project. My suggestion would be review the fields which you are asking for the team members to update the status and what is the relevance and uses of capturing those data elements. Automate as much as possible the data capture elements in the tools and the system being used. One of the biggest reasons teams struggle with outdated status update is that each person is using a different tool. Some prefer spreadsheets while others like to use an email to track tasks and project updates. When there is not one unified place to go for official updates, it's impossible to get the real-time information. Using too many tools also wastes a lot of time. Using a centralized system to manage all collaboration and communication makes teams much more efficient and make it possible to get accurate real-time updates. Ideally, we should find a single collaboration tool that can manage all these requests and track the project collaboration as it is happen. Then we standardize our projects with the process that articulate what we need to communicate and to whom. In organizations, only a fraction of employees are collaborating. Chances are that the managers are not aware what most of their team members are working on. The solution to this is to create a culture where collaboration is valued, encouraging team members to communicate within the teams and with managers to keep others informed of the progress, to provide real-time status updates. In order to improve collaboration, it must be valued. It helps when leadership recognizes the benefit of a collaborative organization, where great ideas are easily shared and projects issues are resolved quickly. Communication is vital to teamwork, and it's what makes real-time update possible. Different people require different kind of information in their updates. So you not only need a tool that will keep all communications and collaboration in one place, but also allow for different kind of reporting. One of the biggest benefit of centralizing all your requests and all the projects and collaboration efforts in a single place is you can take that data and build a report for the dashboard to monitor that much efforts. And dashboards are really a great way for leadership to get a quick glance of overall status as well. The next question. One of your team members has a tremendous amount of difficulty in being concise and getting to the point. As soon as he begins his update, he goes off. This leads to meetings that take up to 45 minutes, which of course make daily meeting unsustainable. He is by title and ownership the most senior team member. Can you suggest a way to help this team member improve his communication skills to be more concise and direct? The very first thing you should do is stop asking open-ended questions to this person. Ask him which user story he worked on yesterday rather than task level details about what he did with each story. The detailed information should be available to other team members through transparent means such as source control or the team Kanban if anyone needs that level of detail. Then ask whether he has any dependencies on other stories today and if there is any help he needs to complete work he's attempting to complete today. Keep the scope of the questions narrow and concrete. The other thing which you can do is change the format of your stand up. It's a coordination and dependency planning meeting for the whole team, considering having team members bring in an index card listing tasks, dependencies, and blockers for the current day. And do not open up the floor for anything that is not on a single side of an index card. The other thing is explain to the team that we are taking too long than we should have and pointed out the number of hours we are collectively wasting as a result. It's important to point out that all of us are wasting time and to understand the problem business impact. Expected time to take for a meeting is 15 minutes. Extra time we are taking is around 15 minutes more. Time waste for a month is 10 members team is 50% hours. Other thing is discuss with the team how long they feel we should take. Make your suggestions as well and ask for a volunteer to keep track of an alarm. The last thing which you can do is stop. Exactly when the agreed upon time, 15 minutes in this case, finish. Do this very strictly. Chances are for the first 2-3 days, not all members can give the update, but believe me, they will improve and you might be able to finish a little sooner as the team get used to this. The next question is it generally a good practice to have a large story points for user stories in a sprint? We are following a modified Fibonacci series of 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20, 40, and 100. We estimate the efforts considering only the complexity involved, and it's all relative. So would it be okay to have an effort estimate larger than 20, or is it suggested to have a less than that? So your velocity is a range that represents the team's capacity for each iteration. If your team velocity is 40-50 story points per sprint, then you could accept 5 or 6 8 pointer user stories, accept 2 20 pointer user stories, accept 1 40 pointer user story. The idea here is that you are only accepting work that will fit within the team's expected capacity for the current sprint. You may not accept work that you don't expect to have 100% complete according to definition of done by the end of the iteration. So if a story is too big to fit, you must break it down. So while the rule of Scrum allow you to accept any story that can fit within your current sprint, it's generally a bad idea to accept epics. Smaller stories are easier to estimate, test, and swap in or out of the backlog, and tend to adhere more closely to the invest principles. Remember, a story is either done or not done. So having one big epic instead of a number of bite-sized stories is more likely to lead to a sprint failure. Making your stories smaller will make the sprint goal more achievable and therefore make the team more agile during the iteration. I personally suggest the stories should be decomposed until they are 13 point or less to avoid epic proportion. Each story should be decomposable into tasks that are expected to take between 1/2 to 2 days to complete. If you find that you can't decompose an epic into stories worth less than 13 points each, there is a probably too much uncertainty around the features or too much complication within your feature. This should immediately trigger a conversation with the product owner and possibly with the end users in order to gain clarity and identify the minimum viable increment of functionality for the story. There are certainly edge cases where a single large story may be justified as long as it can fit within a single iteration. However, claiming that the story can't be decomposed is generally indicate an underlying process problem. Now, next question is, should the product owner take part in estimating user stories? Also in your team, not all developers familiar with every part of the system. Client and server side is usually separated. GUI guys are not too familiar with the server side code and vice versa. Should the GUI guys estimate server side user stories as well? The entire team need to be present during sprint planning. This includes the product owner. However, only the development team actually estimate the user stories during the sprint planning. Sprint planning is where the bulk of Scrum estimation is performed. While the product owner does not actually participate in the estimation itself, he does not get to vote during planning poker. He is a part of the estimation process so that he can answer questions about the stories being estimated, help the team refactor stories, or adjust the product backlog priorities in real time during the planning session. So the question is, who should estimate? The entire development team needs to participate in the estimation process, even on stories where they will be playing a secondary role. The reason is twofold. Everyone has a role to play in a well written story. A client side story still needs data from the server side, and vice versa. A programming story needs testing, documentation, and deployment. A story that does not involve most of the team is often a project smell that you have wrong team in place, don't have a cross-functional team, or have a flawed user story. A consensus estimate is usually more accurate. By ensuring the whole team is involved in the estimate, everyone's skill can be brought to bear. While your server-side programmers always know what their API changes will do the client side, how much technical writing will be involved in the new features? Are there any required changes to the testing infrastructure that the QA guy needs to implement to test this new feature? Making sure that the whole team agree to an estimate means that all eyes have been put onto the task and that the entire spectrum of the team skills are in play. Tasks can still be misestimated, but you should find that you have a fewer unforeseen problem that could have been avoided by having the right people looking at it during the sprint planning. Remember, part of the sprint planning is to decompose stories into tasks for the sprint backlog and add an additional task to ensure that the user stories meeting the definition of done. You are more likely to get this right when all the players are involved. The holistic approach to estimating and delivering features is the cornerstone of the agile techniques. Whole team estimation keeps the project planning process transparent and visible to everyone, increasing intra-team communication and buy-in, and is essential to the Scrum process. The next question is, how to introduce a new team member to a Scrum team? What you should to do when a new team member joins a Scrum team? The very first thing which we can do is to create a knowledge base. To help new members blend in, provide them with the necessary information regarding the process, policies, tools, and anything else of relevance. They can study the information on their own and familiarize themselves with the procedure without constantly interrupting other team members. The other thing which you can do is pair up. Team up a new member with another developer and cycle through until a new member had a chance to work with everyone. Give them small tasks at first and let them adjust to the environment. The next thing is participation in Scrum meetings. Ensure that the new team member participates in all Scrum meetings so that they can understand the pace. Also, encourage a new member to have face to face meetings with other members whenever possible so that they can have learned everything they need with minimal distraction. Introduce them to the team's culture. Show the team member how the team's culture looks like. Communicate to them the values, best practices, and collaboration methods so that they can become a part of that culture as well. After the new team member has been introduced, it's time to monitor how things are going. Find out how they are settling in, whether they have any problems. A great opportunity for this is the Scrum retrospective. Ensure that the entire team shares their insights on how the new team members are doing. Of course, you will make sure to focus on the positive early on and to create a nurturing environment where the new team member will feel welcome and valued. Introducing a new team member to a balanced team, such as a Scrum team, is not that easy at all. Any kind of disruption can negatively impact not just the rest of the team, but the project as well. That's why it's important to introduce a new team member as seamlessly as possible. As an Scrum Master, you should ensure that the new team member understand and fit with the company culture, understand and fit with the team's norm, understand and meet others' expectations and one's own role responsibilities. Understand the responsibilities, expertise, and the authority of other team members. Understand what works to do and when. Understand how to code and test to the team's expectation. Understand the team's standard of team quality. Understand and adopt the agile mindset. Know how to use agile artifacts and techniques used by the rest of the team. Understand the short, medium, and long term work structure, aims, and implications. Understand the product project domain knowledge and terminology. The next question is, a sprint has just ended. All stories but one were not done by the team members. Should the sprint be labeled as failed because of the story that was not completed? What exactly is a failed sprint? The purpose of a sprint is not to complete user stories. That's simply a mean to an end. Rather, the purpose of a sprint is to provide a time box to work on a product backlog items that collectively deliver the value defined by an overarching sprint goal. A sprint really has only three failure conditions. The sprint goal has not been met, the delivered increment is not in a usable condition, the increment does not meet the definition of done. So individual stories can be done or not done, forecast estimates can be missed. Such sprints are still technically successful in that they are delivered a potential realizable increment and leverage the framework to provide the business with the process transparency and appropriate opportunities to inspect and adapt. So how we can measure the success or failure? A sprint should be considered as a time box in which to limit the scope of work that can be successfully completed. A sprint does not succeed or fail, it just ends. You bring work in according to your velocity and attempt to complete it within the sprint. If you don't complete all your work you bring in, then your velocity is reduced and you bring in less into future sprints. There is uncertainty in any of the sprint due to various reasons, like there's always some technical uncertainty, there is always some requirement risk. Teams member may have less time than was planned for due to illness or some other distraction within the organization. Estimates are not perfect. So as such, there is never a guarantee that you will complete all the planned work. The real measure of success or failure, if you want to redirect your organization attention, is how a set of user stories meet the user stated requirements. Most of the time, there are several stories that can attach to a single user requirement. There can be a rolled up into an epic and directly associate with the user requirements. The goal exists for a project. Those goals include user requirements. The user requirements are separated into technical, usability, functional, and into budget, schedule, resource related areas. The sprints are a useful building block to consider how the overall engineering and the tasks are executed to meet your customers' project requirements. Friends, thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more similar videos and do not forget to hit the like button. Your one like is big motivation for me. Thanks. Have a nice day.